Hello, fellow Murdlers. Today is Thursday, August 8th, 2024, and it's a great day to solve a murder. Today we have the carefully prepared dish/fish murder, and we have three 4x4 grids with suspects, locations, and weapons. Our red murder clue today is a toxic blowfish was clearly used to commit the crime, so we can go ahead and say that our how is a toxic blowfish, and we'll use our detective's notebook and our clues and evidence to figure out who had the toxic blowfish and where they were. Alright, let's meet today's suspects. We have Sister Lapis, Chancellor Tuscany, Officer Copper, and Principal Applegreen. Today's weapons are a steak knife, the steering wheel, a toxic blowfish, and a ghost detector. And today's locations are the deck, the boiler room, the captain's quarters, and the engine room. Alright, let's go ahead and dive into our clues and evidence. A messenger from the Circle of the Quiver gave Logico a note that read, and we've got an anagram clue here. The steering wheel was found beneath a furnace, I think. Furnace. Okay, so the steering wheel was found beneath a furnace. So let's check out the location, see where we might find a furnace. Nothing here. Boiler room makes sense, but doesn't actually say anything about furnaces. Captain's quarters, no. And engine room, no. And that's it, right? I think it's gotta be the boiler room, but I will say I don't like this one because it doesn't actually say for sure. So this is more of a guess than I would typically need to use or need to make with a puzzle like this. So it's a little uncomfortable, but I think this is our best bet that it's the boiler room because that's the only one that has anything to do with heat. The engine room is more about like the noise. See, I think that's it, but I don't love it. So we'll go ahead and cross this off for now, but if we run into trouble, we'll know that that's probably the culprit. All right, next we have an either/or clue. Either Principal Applegreen brought a ghost detector, or a steak knife was on the deck. Okay. So I think we're going to need to come back to this one. If there is something that we can suss out from this, I don't know it offhand, so I'm going to come back to this when we have more information. Analysts discovered traces of a weapon made of tech, on the clothing of Officer Copper. So let's look through the composition of our weapons. We have metal, wood, live animal, and metal and tech. So that's going to be the ghost detector for Officer Copper. Analysts discovered traces of a weapon made of a live animal, so that's going to be the blowfish. Oh, on the clothing of Sister Lapis. Okay, so we actually know Sister Lapis must be our murderer today, but we still have a lot more information to figure out before we can solve the puzzle. The other suspect with the same height as Chancellor Tuscany had never been in the engine room. Okay, let's see what Chancellor Tuscany's height is, 5'5". So we're looking for somebody else who is 5'5". Sister Lapis is 5'2". Officer Copper is 5'5", and Principal Applegreen is 5'11". So this is going to be Officer Copper. So Officer Copper had not been in the engine room. So we can mark that off there. The suspect with the steak knife had gray hair. I think that's Principal Applegreen. No hair, my bad. So let's see. Chancellor Tuscany has gray hair. Okay. So Chancellor Tuscany has the steak knife. And that means Principal Applegreen must have the steering wheel. So let's see what we can figure out from this now. We can cross this off. Let's come back to our either/or clue. So we know now that Principal Applegreen did not bring the ghost detector. So the steak knife was on the deck. So we can say, oh yeah, no, that's okay. Sorry. Had a moment of panic there. Okay, so Chancellor Tuscany must have been on the deck. So we'll put that in there. And we have Principal Applegreen in the boiler room. Again, I'm not super solid on that, but I think it's probably the best bet. And that leaves Officer Copper's location as the captain's quarters, which we can put in here as well. And finally, that tells us that Sister Lapis with the blowfish must have been in the engine room. So we'll put that in here. All right, so there's everything all filled out, all of our clues and evidence accounted for. Go ahead and add in the engine room here for Sister Lapis. Now, I will say I'm a little shaky on this because I still didn't love this anagram clue didn't find any mention of a furnace, but let's go ahead and see if Sister Lapis with the toxic blowfish in the engine room was right. All right, we were right. Thanks so much for playing along with me today. I hope this was a helpful walkthrough, and we'll see you tomorrow.